So if you told your doctor you had a stomach ache and he immediately grabbed his scalpel to cut you open, you'd run for the door, because you don't start with an expensive, risky thing like surgery. You start with a diagnosis. But then why do so many of us perform surgery on our homes the moment a room feels off? We skip the tests and jump straight to that expensive operation, which is shopping. We buy a new rug or swap out a lamp, hoping it cures the bad vibe. But shopping without a diagnosis is why your room never actually feels fixed. Because here's the problem. You're decorating over symptoms instead of diagnosing causes. So in this video, I'm sharing my 3-step system to stop the guessing game and identify the root cause of your home's friction. Let's start with step number 1. If you take nothing else from this entire video, take this. Your home doesn't need a Pinterest board of 47 competing styles. It needs a 3-word identity, which I call your design DNA. Why 3? Because constraints create cohesion. Without them, every purchase is emotional. And that's how you end up with a room that's 10% Scandinavian, 10% industrial, and 80% I panicked because it was on sale. But that identity becomes your filter. The rule that keeps random purchases from derailing the whole room. Now, how do you come to these 3 words? Well, I've developed a very specific series of questions to get you there in 10-15 minutes max, and I won't walk you through all those questions now because each question adapts depending on how you answer the previous one, so it looks different for everyone. But if you want to get access to them, I'll tell you how at the end of the video. But for now, let me give you a concrete example that'll make this real. So imagine your design DNA is warm, intimate, and layered. These aren't just vibes, they're your filter. Warm is your commitment to softness, and so it means you automatically reject cool white bulbs, chrome, and anything that makes the room feel like an operating room. And so you default to amber light, richer woods, and softer metals. Intimate means the room isn't staged like a showroom with everything pushed to the perimeter and a dead zone in the middle. And so the seating turns inward and the space prioritizes closeness. And then layered means the room isn't flat. And so it can't be one overhead light and a couch on a rug. It needs light at multiple heights, multiple different textures, and multiple points of visual weight. But now, the questions you ask yourself change, because when you're in a shop, you stop asking, do I like this? And you start asking, does this belong in my home? Because liking something doesn't mean it belongs. You can like something and still say no to it. But most people never do. They build their home on a foundation of dopamine, and because they haven't clarified their constraints, every item gets judged in isolation. The problem is, you don't experience them in isolation. Your home is experienced as a whole, and the whole can feel wrong even when the individual parts are good. It's almost like you're assembling an animal from different parts without first deciding on what type of animal it is. So you add the trunk of an elephant, the mane of a lion, and the wings of a dragon, and then you wonder why it doesn't work. And that's exactly what's happening in most living rooms. The sofa is strong and chunky, the coffee table is light and airy, the rug is soft and bohemian, the art is bold and modern, and the side tables are farmhouse and weathered. None of them are objectively bad, but together there's no shared direction, because without that filter, you're not designing a room, you're assembling a creature that's never existed, and then blaming the dragon for looking strange with an elephant trunk. So remember this. You don't decorate your way into identity, you choose it first. So identity is upstream and everything else is downstream. So if I asked you right now to describe your home in 3 words, could you do it? And more importantly, would those 3 words actually describe the way your home feels on a random weeknight? Don't worry if you can't do it just yet, because we'll come back to this in a couple of minutes. But that's the first pillar. Identity gives you cohesion, constraints, and clarity. And without identity, your home feels scattered like a collection of pieces instead of a unified space. But identity alone isn't enough, because even a cohesive room can still frustrate you if it doesn't function properly. And that's where role comes in. Once your home has a distinct identity, each room needs a distinct role. And this sounds so obvious, but almost everyone overlooks it because we tend to fall into the trap of knowing what a room is for. I mean, everyone knows a living room is for living, a bathroom is for bathing, and a bedroom is for bedding, right? Not so fast. let me open up my laptop and show you a few different living rooms. So this first living room is very clearly oriented around social connection. It can easily seat 8 or 10 people, and all the seats are positioned closely enough around the table that everyone can talk with everyone else. This second living room is more about watching TV, since there's only one sofa and one armchair, and the sofa is aimed directly at the TV with the armchair off to the side. And this living room feels almost like it's meant for personal use, with less of a focus on a conversation zone and more of a focus on connecting with the outdoors. And so as you can see, different living rooms can play wildly different roles, and that's perfectly fine. What's not fine is when a room tries to play all of them at once. Take this living room. The sofa and armchair don't face each other, so it doesn't support conversation. The sofa isn't oriented toward the TV, so it doesn't support watching anything. And there's no seat positioned to catch good natural light, so it doesn't support quiet time either. So it's not that the furniture is bad, it's that nothing is clearly prioritized, so the room ends up being mediocre at everything. But all this changes once you define the primary role of the room. So if the room's role is social connection, the furniture needs to face inward, creating a clear conversational cluster with lighting that supports it at night. If its role is for watching TV, you need to orient seating toward the TV, obviously, and think about things like sight lines and glare. And if you use it as more of an office space, it needs to support your productivity, which means ergonomics, storage, and visual noise all matter a lot more. And yes, you can do multiple things in a single room, but clarifying the room's primary role is what stops you from making decisions randomly. Because without it, you'll keep buying things that solve the wrong problem, like buying a chair because you need more seating without understanding what kind of seating the role requires. But remember, you can't shop your way out of a contradiction. Now, even if you've nailed identity and role, a room can look cohesive, function properly, and still leave you feeling unsettled. And that's the part that keeps your space from ever fully feeling like home. And I guarantee you, your home has at least one area of unresolved tension, and probably more, because identity affects how your home looks, role affects how it functions, but tension affects how you feel. To be clear, tension is not the same as a problem. It's not necessarily something you did wrong. Tension is a real-life trade-off that you can't wish away, but you do have to face it, because if you don't, your home will keep punishing you for avoiding it. So here are some common tensions. Small space, but you want to host. Open concept, but you want privacy. Kids energy, but you want adult calm. Minimal aesthetic, but you need storage. And this is where role and tension collide. So let's take that office living room again. Productivity and coziness aren't necessarily enemies, but they do have different needs. Productivity likes ergonomic seating, ambient lighting, and having all your tools at arm's reach. But coziness likes seating you can sink into, mood lighting, and hiding your work away. And the catch is that if you pretend the tension isn't there, you end up with the worst of both. And this is where surface level solutions fail super hard, because when this fundamental tension between work energy and restorative energy remains unresolved, every upgrade you make becomes temporary. You can buy a better desk, a nicer chair, and a prettier lamp, but if the living room is still sending work signals at 10 p.m., you'll still feel anxious in your own home, and then you'll blame the decor. You'll say the room needs art, or a new rug, or different pillows, but pillows don't resolve identity conflict. Pillows don't resolve role conflict. And pillows definitely don't resolve tension, because pillows are not a strategy. One of my subscribers recently told me that he's constantly tired at night and he wants his home to feel more calming, but he can't figure out how to do it. He's already bought candles, an oil diffuser, and a few blankets and other cozy things to soften up his space, but his room still feels restless. But after we talked for a few minutes, it turns out his living room is also his office, and the desk is always visible, email notifications pop up on the screen, and the office chair is facing the sofa like a school principal watching over her students. His nervous system never gets the signal that the workday is over. That's not an aesthetic issue. That's a boundary issue. And because he hasn't set any boundaries, the tension between work mode and relaxation mode never gets cleared up. But zooming out even further, tension generally appears because we design our homes around an idealized, fictional version of our lives, not the way we actually live. Think about it. We designed for the version of ourselves that wakes up early, reads hardcover books in the sun, hosts dinner parties every weekend, and always keeps the counters clear. But then real life shows up. You work late, you eat quick, and you sit in the exact same spot on the couch every night. So we're doing things backward. Of course, hosting matters, but if you actually host once a month, your everyday environment still takes precedence. Otherwise, you're living inside a showroom for your guests, but your guests aren't your primary client. You are. So once you've got your design DNA and the role for each room in place, the third thing you need to nail down is, what's the conflict in your home? The one you keep hoping will resolve itself when you buy one more thing? Because once you identify that unresolved tension, you'll stop wasting money on surface level solutions and start attacking it at its root. Now, remember, this is only the beginning of what you need to do to actually transform your space. This video is diagnosis. It's the part before paint, before furniture, and well before the aesthetic chase. This is the part of the design process that most people completely skip. And it's also the most expensive to skip, because the truth is, you don't have a decorating problem. You have a clarity problem. And once you fix it, everything else gets easier. So if your home feels off, stop looking for more decor and start looking for a better diagnosis. Not because you need to obsess over design, because you deserve to know how to solve this problem once and for all. So if that sounds interesting to you and you're ready to stop guessing, I'm opening up a limited number of call slots to help a few of you work through this properly. We'll go through your lifestyle reality check and lock in your design DNA so that every decision you make after that gets easier. The link's in the description below, but if it's gone, that's because the call slots have already filled up. So in that case, get on my email list and I'll let you know when more slots open up. And that's it for now. If you want to go deeper into these ideas, check out this video up here, because if you like this one, you'll definitely like that one. I'll talk to you soon.